Typically, when I do these early previews for decks in an upcoming set, I wait at least a week. This allows players in Japan to marinate their lists and base their decks. Well, if you haven't heard me say it before, Pitch Black is out just 55 days after Chaos Rising, meaning there's no time to wait. Because before you know it, July 4th will be here, marking the start of Pitch Black pre-releases. It's also worth noting that unlike me, the results for Pitch Black in Japan can't be trusted. You see, over there they have two tiers of tournaments. One is gym battles, which is where people are encouraged to whack off in front of each other, allowing the worst abominations ever created to do well. Then there's city leagues, which is where a higher level player like me would go, as the competition is much stiffer. Unfortunately, the city league season is over until September, so it's just gym battles. I tell you this because not only is the pool of data I can pull from so shallow that you're not allowed to dive into it, Mega Excadrill EX is off to an amazing start. Yeah, the surprise hit of Pitch Black is Mega Excadrill, who ended day 1 as the best new deck. Ghost Veil overtook it on day 2, but Chainsaw Man's favorite Pokemon has continued its hot streak lately. There's nothing too special about Excadrill though, and it will probably fall off like Starmie did. Still, we'll always remember this first weekend. Obviously, you pair it with the Metang Energy Acceleration Engine. Excadrill requires 5 energy to deal 330 damage, which one-shots Dragapult and a lot of other meaningful threats. Plus, if Metang fails like me on every math test in high school, Undermine is a decent early attack, knocking out weak things while also milling 2 cards from their deck. And Metagross is your Crustal counter, dealing 300 damage for 4 energy, losing 3 in the process. While I did find one winning list that went with Secret Box over Precious Trolley, taking advantage of Drillburst Call for Family, 99% of Excadrill decks will use the turn 1 Petrol for Trolley strategy. From there, Genesect finds your Metal Evolutions, Metang accelerates energy, and Jumbo Ice Cream heals. It's boring, but the formula for a winning Metal deck in 2026 has definitely been figured out. I analyzed every winning Excadrill list in that first weekend, and there's not much room for any changes. Sure, you could go from a 3-3 line to a 3-2, opening up a space for 16 energy instead of 15. Or instead of 2 Full Metal Lab, have 1 Full Metal Lab and 1 Gravity Mountain, allowing Metagross to one-shot a Dragapult. Iron Defender, meanwhile, forces a Raging Bolt player to have 6 energy instead of 5 to KO Excadrill, but that matchup seems rough no matter which way you slice it. So I'd probably just stick with Jumbo Ice Cream, letting the white sticky substance melt all over your hands after you're done drilling your opponent. Then there's Ghost Veil, which ended the weekend tied with Excadrill. My favorite thing about the deck is how complete and well-rounded it is. In my original preview, I said it was almost solely designed to beat up Dragapult players, but it extends so much further beyond that. Almost every matchup you can think of, Ghost Veil has the advantage. Except, ironically, in the mirror match where whoever gets the first KO wins. As a quick reminder, the Ghost Veil ability is insane. It protects against the effects of attacks and abilities, meaning it's safe from Phantom Dive pings. Additionally, Dusknoir can't blow its load on them, Frostlass's ability doesn't slowly melt them, Munkidori can't spank them, and someone like Mega Absol can't period all over them. They literally looked at the strongest cards in Standard and created 4 Pokemon almost completely unaffected by them. Basically, the biggest hurdles for single prize decks have always been Dragapult, Dusknoir, Munkidori, Frostlass, and Spread. All of those except Spread are stopped by Ghost Veil. Add Shaman, now you're essentially protected against everything except just straight damage. 2 main ways of playing Ghost Veil have emerged, with the Dunsparce and without the Dunsparce. While there are slight variations I've seen with Prism Energy and Moltres, this is where you want to start with the Sneaky Snake. I know it seems scary to not have Psyduck or Battle Cage in a single prize deck with a 30 hit point basic, but Ghost Veil will completely warp our notion of what a baby deck can do. Despite there being 4 Ghost Veilers for a total of 16 in your deck, Delmise is your main attacker. Between 4 Gwyn, 4 Ultra Ball, and 2 Prism Tower, getting 4 cards with the Ghost Veil ability in your discard pile should be doable turn 1. And with 4 Telepathic, you could easily have 3 Delmise in play turn 1 as well. Since Delmise only needs 4 Ghost Veilers in the bin, Brilliant Blender isn't your ace spec. Instead, you run Legacy Energy to force the game to potentially go an extra turn. Keeping in mind that Delmise itself isn't safe from Dusknoir and Munkidori, the Anchor can one-shot Raging Bolt and Dragapult thanks to Lily's Clefairy. Mega Lucario, meanwhile, well, they have to try and win without ever putting the Aura Farmer into play. For other matchups like Teal Mask Ogerpon, I have seen Maximum Belt as the ace spec. Or just hit into Ogerpon with Delmise dealing 170 damage. Use your 4 bosses' orders to do this to 3 different Ogerpon, then win the game by wiping their butt with Sinistra's Matcha Spin, placing 4 damage counters on all their Pokemon. Sinistra is also how you win against Festival Lead and Honchkrow. They don't run Battle Cage, so just Matcha Spin 3 or 4 times, and that should be GG's. Just be aware that Diplin can add Rabska, so if you ever see a Rellor, KO it immediately. But if you really want to take advantage of Sinistcha like it's me after a few Appletinis and you said my feet look dazzling tonight, run Spiritomb. While it does require at least 13 of your 16 Ghost Veilers to be in the graveyard, that's fine. It's only ever supposed to be used at the end of a game anyway. This thing quadruples the number of damage counters on 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Hit into 2 Megas with Delmise, then use Spiritomb and you win. As for Banette, it's super weak, yes. But if you go first and can get it up turn 2, it's not bad, dealing 80 damage and finding any card in deck. As you can see from the non-Dunsparce list, they went a little overboard with discard. Again, it's early and things will change over the next few weeks as we night march closer to Pitch Black on July 16th. I definitely think Brilliant Blender is a bit much, where Legacy Energy or even Maximum Belt is stronger. The only other real option I saw was Moltres with Prism Energy. This gives you an easy way to one-shot Tealmast Oderpon or Genesect EX since Mega Excadrill is apparently goated. And don't forget that the old Banette can evolve from the new Shuppet, but that would mean you've become a filthy control player. Like a Tinka, it's tough to officially declare Toucannon the third best deck of Pitch Black so far. The numbers back it up, sure, but in some of the lists it's merely a backup attacker or card drawer for things like Dragapult and Alakazam. Yes, even in a set with seemingly nothing for it, Dragapult has found a card that makes it better. I'll let it slide though, because I'm just happy Toucannon lived up to the hype I heaped on it upon first reveal. The ability is fine. For each Toucannon you have in play, you can draw a card each turn. That helps Alakazam get a bigger hand. Though like the Dunsparce, it too is shut off by that stupid watchtower. What you really care about is the attack. For any energy, Feather Rondo does 60 base damage plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon. While that is 260 if both sides are full, Area 0 allows you to get it up like you're back in college and swing for a maximum of 320 one-shotting Dragapult. Of course, you need a Terra to make that happen, and there's been various lists all using different ones. For that winning Dragapult list, I do think 4 stadiums is a bit much, and only having 4 lilies relies on a strong opening hand. But if you don't get screwed over at the start of the game, it's Dragapult with more card draw and a great single prize attacker. The fighting build showcases just how different a world without Pokemon TCG Live is. Japanese players don't know the pain of getting screwed over by prizes and horrible draws, which is why you'll typically see them include only 2 freaking lilies and just believe in the heart of the cards. Lack of consistency aside, it's a great idea. Oderpon activates Noctowl, who can grab a rare candy and a Pokepad. Brave Bangle lets Toucannon swing for 290 if both benches are full, even before factoring in Area 0 bonuses. Knowing that, we could end up in a world where Gravity Mountain is a potential stadium pair since 290 is one-shot range on Dragapult. Just please have 4 lilies if you decide to build this. Then there's Terra Greninja. Again, the versatility of Toucannon shines through. Drawing cards and KOing most 2-prizers and even some 3-prizers for 1 energy is awesome. Add in a little bit of draw, you can build something like this. Yeah, along with 300 plus damage from Toucannon, you're threatening a Mirage Barrage regularly. Elsewhere, Tealmast Oderpon's not necessarily an amazing partner, though it does allow you to build up a big one in the back while Toucannon blows its load several turns in a row. Speaking of blowing your load, there's a version with Dusknoir. As long as they don't have Psyduck down, you can dink and dunk your way to victory. And if you're wondering about the weird energy spread, Terapagos makes itself immune to damage from basics provided it has a Grass, Water, and Lightning attached. From what I've seen after just 1 weekend in Japan, Toucannon is the most versatile new Pokemon in Pitch Black. It can be paired with almost any Terra you can think of, or be its own deck if you don't mind a bit of lower power. As a result, I'd say it's the singular card I'm most excited for. Though that's mostly because Bastiodon hasn't done much yet. Yes, at least so far, there are some duds, and I'm not talking about Dunsparce. Lurantis, Slowbro, Rampardos, and Bastiodon have all failed to do much of anything. I'm confident Bastiodon will end up being good because, think of how many decks attack for 2 or fewer energy. The Ancient Bulwark ruins all those strategies, you just have to have 2 in play at a time, otherwise they'll boss your lone one, deactivating its ability. As for Wailord EX, there's been 1 winning list so far going the Cinderace route. Start it, get 3 quick energy on Wailord. Failing that, there's also Misty's energy to accelerate 4 at the cost of ending your turn. And Bubbly Water prevents Wailord from falling asleep like my ex-wife used to do whenever I started dancing seductively in front of her because she always had long days and wouldn't let me give her a long night. So, like Wailord, I'd cheer myself up by having some jumbo ice cream. Because in case you forgot, this Stage 1 2-prizer has 380 hit points. Maximum Belt is kinda necessary as the ace spec to one-shot Dragapult though, which is why there's no Heroescape. The good news about Pitch Black is that Bolty Lightning Energy has, at the very least, boosted Mega Magnectric's playability. The bad news is that Mega Zeraora isn't exactly the cat's meow. Like I said in the previous Pitch Black video, if Zeraora counted all lightning energy attached to all your Pokemon, it'd be insane. Instead, it does 60 damage times the number of lightning energy attached to itself. With only 270 hit points and a fighting weakness, you're better off sticking with Manectric and Zekrom. Still, two lists did do something this past weekend. The first utilized an A-Spec you've probably never seen before unless you're a boomer like me and keep getting letters in the mail advertising retirement homes. The strat is that Bellibolt accelerates all lightning energy onto one of your Ionos Pokemon. You then use Scramble Switch at the opportune time, moving all of that energy onto Zeraora. You only need 6 to KO almost everything, so it can be fun. The list has 2 copies of Unikitty to protect against prizing, but you're only ever attacking with 1. So if I'm going this route, I'd probably cut 1 and add a Lilies or something. Zeraora's second list is more traditional. Or it would be if not for the Force Cinderace. This just goes to show you how rough Zeraora is. You try to start your Cinderace, yet even if you do, it only accelerates 3 energy, which is 180 damage for Zeraora. So you still need to use discard supporters like Naveen and Carmine to ditch your energy, then accelerate them with Electric. And the new Miraidon is here as an early attacker who can pass back 2 energy upon knockout. I'm just not excited about this list. I want Lightning to be good, and Bolty does help boosting their damage by 20, but Zeraora isn't the partner. I still think Mega Magnectric will rule the Lightning landscape for the rest of the year. But it's not like things get easier in 2027 when Dragapult's gone and Lucario could be the best deck. When it came to previewing Mega Chandelure, I was hesitant because I'd been burned so many times in the past by hyping up Megas. It's the same thing that happened with Excadrill. It looked good on paper, yet I didn't want to give myself hope. Well, this is one Chandelure we might all be swinging from come July, having won several gym battles this past Monday. While the negative Latiasi X presents will always be a problem until rotation in March, there appears to be 2 ways to play Mega Chandelure. Either with Baby Chandelure or as part of a Psychic deck. The Baby adds a bit of card draw while also punishing your opponent for having big feet, hitting for a fire weakness in the process. And you can't forget about Lampent. Reminiscent of Frogadier from the XY era or Kirlia not too long ago, it places 3 Lampent from deck directly onto your bench. Use Rare Candy properly and you can have 6 Chandelure in play at a time. That's important because the Mega's ability increases their active's retreat cost by 1 and it stacks. Then Phantom Maze does 130 base for 2 Psychic plus 50 more for each pip in their retreat cost. If they have a 4 total retreat cost, that's 330 damage. Every list also includes one of the new Marshadow who does 30 damage times the number of pips in their retreat cost. It's weak, but it helps deal with lower HP threats. Otherwise, you can go the pure Psychic route. Mega Diancie is a beefy boy who you can use to take early KOs while you build up to a Chandelure. I am a little confused at the lack of Lily's Clefairy usage in Japan so far though. My guess is that they decided, well hey, 3 Chandelure puts it in range, so why bother with a weak 2-prizer? This version mostly seems like a beatdown deck. If you're facing something with Latiasi X, you attack with Diancie. For evolutions, that's where Chandelure shines. I'm very interested to see how these lists evolve over the next few weeks, because it feels like maybe a Tool Scrapper is a good idea for Air Balloon, and I have seen a couple lists run Jellicent and Monkey Dory. While it's not dominating quite like Excadrill or Ghostveil so far, Chandelure has everything it needs to light up Standard. Despite having a somewhat similar strategy to Mega Darkrai, Mega Dragalge EX is floundering like Misty's Goldeen when she sent it out against Team Rocket at the start of the anime, only to tell them it's useless on dry land and immediately recall it for some reason. Darkrai, however, is doing some things early. Unfortunately, Mist, Rocky, and Bubbly Energy all stand in your way of living the dream. Plus, where Dragalge can at least use Crispin, Darkrai's Abyssai requires 3 Darkness, so you have to pair it with Toxtricity. Except how is Darkrai better than Absol? They both take 1-hit KOs by fulfilling a clause, except Absol can utilize Counter Gain to Monkey Dory and Crispin. Well, I'll tell you how. By not relying on Abyssai 100% of the time. Yes, Darkrai is seeing some success by being added as part of a Darkness Toolbox deck. If you can't take a 1-hit KO with Abyssai, which requires them to be affected by a status condition, Dust Raid isn't a bad option. It does 220 damage if anyone on your bench has a damage counter. Toxtricity's ability accelerates an energy while also damaging somebody on your bench. And yes, Dark Bell is a must, confusing both actives if they aren't dark types, which allows you to use Abyssai. One of my favorite inclusions is the new Chi-Yu. Toxtricity 2 at once, now it's dealing 110 damage. While the Goldfish doesn't hit for weakness, 110 is still enough for their Monkey Dory. And by using Monkey Math with Brute Bonnet, you can deal 300 or more damage for as little as 5 counters on their active. As for the lists, I'll show you this one since everyone's here. Some did omit Absol and go with 2 Darkrai, while others have less energy and more consistency because just 1 Poffin and 1 Ultra Ball is worrying. But this appears to be how Mega Darkrai will be utilized in our Pitch Black environment. If you're up against the Mega deck, try to Dark Bell and 1-hit KO. Against everybody else, use Monkey Dory with Brute Bonnet. Sure, it's disappointing that Darkrai isn't really a thing on its own, but at least it's playable. Oh, and just in case this defies my expectations and does become a thing, I have seen a version with Volcanion EX, Dark Bell, and Janine with Energy Switch. This seems like trying to fit a round peg into a square hole, but it is at least an idea. Overall, it's looking like the top 4 archetypes coming in Pitch Black on July 16th on Pokemon TCG Live will be Excadrill, Ghostveil, Toucannon, and Chandelure, with Darkrai in 5th. Now, I know the title of the video is about the best Pitch Black decks, but I'm skipping Megas Delphox and Slowbro for now. Partly because they aren't confirmed for Pitch Black yet, even though we know they're in the set, and also because I've talked about them numerous times in the past. However, when I do my full Pitch Black previews at the start of July, expect to see them there. Same with the solo Relicanth Fossil Beatdown deck, which apparently might be a thing. Until then, let me know some of your wacky ideas for some of these new Pitch Black cards, which are just 6 or 7 weeks away from launching on Pokemon TCG Live.